This is the Nightwolf howling at you, and today we're going to continue Dreadnok week with the G.I. Joe Classified series Torch figure. Sadly, as expected, they did not use the Dreadnok logo in the background of this image. Instead, it's the standard Cobra one. I think that is a missed opportunity. Yes, the Dreadnoks do work for Cobra most of the time, but let's not forget they are still supposed to be kind of a mercenary group. So I think using their own logos on the packaging for them would have been fine and made sense. On the side, we get some nice artwork of him screaming while launching out his flames. And I do like the skull on the end of the flamethrower like that. That's pretty cool. And on the back, we have our product render slash... On the back, we have our little product render. Although maybe this actually is the figure on one of their dioramas. Shows a little bit of the detail on the back of his vest and the back of his torch backpack. Well, let's go ahead and open this sucker up. I was not expecting the accessories to be this difficult to get out of here. I think at that point there was virtually no going back to the putting anything in there. Well, let's take a quick look at his accessories. We have a pistol, and we have a second pistol. They are the same. We got a couple different flame effects here for when he actually shoots the flames. This, I think, is actually usually how it's rendered in the show. This one kind of looks like it's a blast itself. What's cool here is that they're giving us the little tip flame. So if you ever watch like a flamethrower, it's usually got that little bit of flame at the end, and then when you hit the trigger, that's when it launches it. Again, that is really kind of cool how they kind of have this skull design on the end of the flamethrower with the eyes flaming as well. Not sure that's particularly practical in this regard, because if those flames are supposed to be coming up through the same piping as that is, then whenever he activates it, it would most likely just keep on throwing the flames that way and forward. And that would be a lot more dangerous. We got a tube here, which I think we have seen this with a number of other figures already. We got his acetylene backpack, Knox Rule written on it with a... That might actually be the Dreadnok logo on there. Mostly, but it's kind of hard to tell because it's so small. Dude's got a necklace there, a collar. The vest is attached as per normal. He's giving out flames on his pockets. That's pretty cool. They put some chain bracelets on him. It's too bad they didn't do this in a more metallic silver rather than just the gray, though, because everything else, all the other chain accents are silver. The little bit on the bicep here is a separate piece. They actually went out pretty well with these, and he's even got flame tattoos on his forearms. I like the head sculpt. He does generally, though. He looks like a fairly generic biker design with that head, though, overall. I'm not going to lie. Torch is probably my favorite design for a Dreadnok in the series. Anyway, before we start attaching the equipment, let's go over the articulation. We have the G.I. Joe chicken neck. We got a pretty good range of motion with the top of the head here. You can look down and up and sideways. Spin all the way around if you want. You can even kind of lean forward a little bit more with that chicken neck thing. We have the standard butterfly joint here. It's not a lot of motion in there, but it's not bad. We can hinge the arm all the way up with no problems. Hinge it back down. bicep cut. Swivel the arm around, nothing is interfering with it. We've got the double jointed elbow. What's interesting to note with him, though, is that his forearms and bicep are so large that he cannot he can't get it as close as so many of the other figures could. This may in fact be a design flaw in that arm. But anyway, he does have the ab crunch, though the vest does make it a little bit more awkward. And you can really hear the ratchets in that one. Ball joint in the waist so we can spin him all around. Make him wiggle wobble. Although this feels really looser than normal, you know? So that might be a quality control issue right there. The legs do have our usual drop down hips. You can kick out that far. You can really kick out that far too. You can kick all the way forward. And almost no back because his butt gets in the way. He also doesn't really have a butt crack. We have the... Oh, shit. We have the thigh cut. We have the double jointed knee. With a fused joint on the right side. But we can do it fine on the left side. I'll have to heat that up later. This boot does go over the top a bit, so it kind of works also, I guess, maybe possibly as a knee brace or a knee pad. For those times when never mind. Oh my gosh. We have the hinge at the foot, and of course the standard spin. We can start putting his equipment away. He has 2 thigh holsters for the guns. I honestly feel like thigh holsters like this are kind of impractical, but let me know if you've actually worn them. I think it makes more sense to have the belt with the thigh, maybe with a little strap going around the thigh also. Because with the heavier guns, like this works fine with a small gun, but I think with the heavier guns, they're more likely to fall off. Sometimes trying to line up that hole is a huge pain in the ass, too. The I'm just gonna say it. This is way too soft of plastic for this. Because trying to get it in his hands, it's bending in some funky ass ways too. And it is really, really difficult. It is really difficult to try to get his everything positioned properly. Because, you know, he needs to be holding it kind of like this. because the trigger is on the front one. And we can put the little flame effect at the end there, like that. See, and here's my initial issue with this, is that you cannot get him, or at least I don't know, maybe there's somebody a little bit more creative with positioning than me, but I am not able to get it so that it looks like he is shooting the flame forward. He can only shoot it towards the side, and I think that's a bit problematic with that, because it should be aimed right in front of him. Then we also have the burst flame here. And no surprise there. Because again, it's really difficult to get his... It's really difficult to try to get him positioned with his hands on both of these things properly. This is honestly starting to piss me off. This is also where the in and out articulation would have been more helpful in a figure. Because then you could position the wrist a little bit differently as well. Because if you'll notice, you cannot get his hand... I cannot get his hand to properly hold the front and the back and still have it lifting or going any little bit forward. The only way you're going to really be able to get that to work is having him blow it to the side, which is absolutely ridiculous. Not a big fan of this effect here either. Again, I would call that like a burst mode, and then this would be a continuous mode here. And then our standby version. So while I do like the figure design here, I do think that they should have given us different articulation on the hands in order to work with his equipment. That being said, let's take a look at his file card from the original vintage line. Dreadnok, code name Torch, file name Tom Winken, birthplace Botany Bay, New South Wales, Australia. Subject was remanded to Borstal, which was a reform school, at age 14. Escaped and went to the sea in the Merchant Marine, where he learned the use of the cutting torch. Later rode with the Melbourne Maulers MC Motorcycle Club. Torch is an illiterate, unrepentant thug whose penchant for sudden and unexpected violence is matched only by the utter depth of his stupidity. Specialty and MO, modus operandi, works with an oxyacetylene torch as a general cutter, mostly on remodeling stolen cars and occasional safe crackings. Scavenges the swamps for fun and profit. So again, while the figure looks nice, I think they kind of failed us with the hands. Maybe they could have given us a second set of hands where we could have gotten the in and out articulation so we could better position the equipment on him. It would have been nice. I would have traded this effect in for another set of hands that moved properly for this. But again, overall, just for your display purposes, it's fine. I do think what's missing too is there's no place to attach this to his backpack. Or maybe, well, hold on. I may be lying. Alright, I was lying. There is in fact a spot where you can attach his backpack, attach his thing to his backpack. But we still have the problem of the flames coming out of the eyes. Unless, of course, you just want to say these aren't actual flames and just a acrylic decoration on his thing. And man, trying to get this backpack on him is a pain in the ass also. Then you gotta kind of figure out how to position the tube so it doesn't pop out the thing either. But there you go. There's Torch in all of his glory. Again, one of my favorite designs for these characters for the Dreadnoks. Quite possibly my favorite design for the Dreadnoks. And I actually liked him in the show too. Not that he had a lot to do with it, but still. I'm a bit disappointed at the hands and the way the equipment sits on there. I mean, there's not much you can do about this because that hose is honestly the issue with it. I do hope you enjoyed this look at the Dreadnok Torch from the G.I. Joe Classified line. If you enjoyed this content, please give me a subscription, and really, if you really enjoyed it, you can do a notification as well. I hear it helps the channel grow. Leave some comments below. What do you think of the figure? I'm really curious if you agree with me that they should have given us some hands with a separate articulation point to make it easier to have him hold the weapon properly, and mostly so we can get it to hold the weapon up front instead of off to the side all the time. And join us tomorrow for another day of Dreadnok Week. Peace and love.
Action! We're called Slither, you'll be joining us soon. A band of vipers playing our tune. With an iron fist and a reptile's hiss, we shall rule.
What is that idiot doing?
We've heard it before. We're not gonna play the game no more. You tell us what's right.
They are animals.
To resist, 'cause Cobra is strong.